This is an early bird special. Welcome to the Vault Excel. We're going to chop up this information pertaining to the Secret Service. You're going to hear from a representative speaking on the Republican National Committee that will be meeting this week. I'm going to bring you information from Australia. They have come down very hard on the United States government pertaining to the debacle that took place Saturday with the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Thank you for joining me. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $sign BigAngie 129 Cash App, stickers and chats always welcome during the live stream. WSYR Syracuse News 9 is the source.
For a motive after a gunman tried to kill former President Donald Trump, President Biden addressed the nation this evening from the Oval Office while Trump arrived in Milwaukee ahead of this week's Republican National Convention. ABC's Jay O'Brien has the details.
Our fellow Americans,
President Biden addressing the nation from the Oval Office just one day after a suspected gunman attempted to assassinate his rival, former President Donald Trump.
I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics. And to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We must stand together.
The president calling for unity.
And in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. That's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets. The power to change America should always rest in the hands of the people, not in the hands of the would-be assassin.
Biden speaking with the former president Saturday evening, just hours after a gunman opened fire at a Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. That suspect identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel, Pennsylvania. Sources tell ABC News that a short time before the former president took to the podium, local authorities were alerted to suspicious activity on the outside of the perimeter and were in the process of looking for a suspect.
I am aware that law enforcement have responded to a number of reports of suspicious activity.
Investigators are now trying to figure out how that gunman made it up onto the roof as Republicans get set to gather for this week's convention in Milwaukee. Former President Trump arriving, preparing to formally accept his party's nomination. The convention going ahead as planned, but security at the Pfizer Forum is tight.
We are confident in the security plans that are in place for this event, and we're ready to go.
In a post on social media, former President Trump said he considered pushing this convention back 2 days, but then said he didn't want to have a potential assassin force a change in his campaign schedule. Now, security is tight here in Milwaukee, but the Secret Service says there is no credible threat to this convention. In Milwaukee, Jay O'Brien, ABC News.
No credible threat. Well, someone might disagree with that because everyone has a lot to say as of late pertaining to commentary. Will there be a threat? As I have chopped up information from all angles, the convention center is not the same as an open field. And I think a lot of people aren't really processing that. It's an open field versus a closed space. But we'll get into that a little later about the planning of this Republican National Convention. I said committee. It's totally different. The convention center versus an open field. Because open field, anything can happen in an open space. I think most people know that. It's the propensity for anything to jump off. It's open. And it's not to say something couldn't happen inside of a closed building. But you're open to the elements when you're outside. So it could be a drone, it could be an airplane, it could be a helicopter. Somebody could have came through with a tractor trailer, anything. Farm equipment. Talk to enough people, hey, let's go over here. Let's bum rush this place. And I don't think anybody even thought about that. See, nobody's thinking about that. You also have to weigh in the fact that what's being planned at this convention is 18 months planned in advance. I believe this stopover with Trump was spur of the moment. If not, I stand corrected. But I doubt he planned it for 18 months. I doubt that. So it's not the same. Then you have to count how many people were working with Secret Service. It has also been said that when you're dealing with a former president versus a current president, naturally the detail is less. So then you got to ask that question. How many people are on the detail? How many people are on the ground in law enforcement? See, all that matters. Now, with the convention, it's totally different. You're going to have different agencies coming in to assist with the convention plus Secret Service. That's totally different than an open field. You will hear that later in this commentary. I'm going to go back and let you hear from the doctor who aided help to someone who was in distress Saturday. Thank you for joining me. CBS Philadelphia's source.
Dr. Jim Sweetland, an ER physician, was at the scene of last night's rally. When he witnessed the shooting, he said he administered aid to a spectator who was gravely hurt. Dr. Sweetland, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Doctor, can you just relay your experience of what happened to you, and have you ever been in a live kind of situation like this? Obviously in the ER, but I mean out in the field with this kind of thing happening.
To answer the second question first, I've never been in a live shooting arena before and have no combat experience. I was on the left bandstand as you're facing Donald Trump on the stage. I was underneath the Jumbotron, and he was showing the graphic about immigration. And we were turned to look at it, my friend and I, Gary Shelley, and I heard two pops, actually, pop, 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 then a pause, and then four others, pop, 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 pop. I turned to see the president entirely covered by Secret Service, and to my right, down in the same bandstand, was a woman shouting out, "He's been shot, he's down." And I turned my attention to her. Other individuals in the bandstand were sheltering, and I made my way over to that individual and administered CPR. And as you might guess, when I first arrived, I said, "I'm a doctor," and nobody believed me. And then I said, "I'm the ER physician. Can you help me get this man up on the bench?" He had been shot in the head, had body had twisted as he fell. Everybody in the bandstand was standing at that time, so I assumed he was. Two individuals that were in shock themselves looked at me and got up and helped me get him back on a bench so I could administer CPR. Unfortunately, the man had a gunshot wound just above his ear, had no pulse and no respirations. And so I started to administer CPR to him as well as giving him rescue breathing. I did so for about 2 minutes. And then I was tapped on the shoulder, and two of the biggest Pennsylvania State police officers I've ever seen were behind me. And they said, "We'll take him." And they picked him up, unfortunately like a rag doll, and took him from the stands. I looked up to see his family, who witnessed my efforts of resuscitation, and the look on their faces said it all. My heart goes out to that family. My prayers go out with them. I'm sorry, I was in shock yesterday. The gravity of that situation is hitting me right now.
Well, of course, and we thank you for helping us understand the situation and your reaction to it and what you went through. Doctor, you see this kind of thing all the time, I would imagine, in your day job. But this was clearly something different. Your training kicked in, but tell us about how this differs from on what you have to do every day, which is deal with life and death as you face it in the ER.
The difference was I was the first responder in that moment, and I'll shout out to all the inmates that go out in the field and perform that duty every day, and then bring them into me, stabilized in the emergency department. This was raw. There was blood. There was brain matter around this man, and it was he needed immediate help. That's the difference, and I can't say enough about the people that were there, willing to help somebody else, another American who was shot. And certainly that was a young gentleman. I think he was in his 30s. I think he was there with his wife and his child. And I think he was just there to enjoy a beautiful sunny day and be there to enjoy this rally. This was the first Trump rally I've ever been to. And I'm so happy that there were people there that helped. If I can comment, later on I was walking and I was a bit in shock, and there's a video of me with blood on my face and blood on my shirt. And as I'm walking along, I get interviewed. Just after that interview, there was an Army combat veteran just off the screen. And he came up to me immediately afterwards and leaned into me and said, "Brother, you got blood on your face. Here's the water." I washed it off. Then I handed the bottle back. He said to me, he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Brother, are you okay?" That's what it's all about for me, for America. Speaking out and helping others that are in need. As much as I helped that gentleman, that Army vet helped me.
Dr. Jim Sweetland, thank you so much for your actions and for being with us this morning. We really appreciate it.
That is the doctor who aided help. I'm sure that was a very horrific event to be a witness to. Watching people scurrying around, law enforcement, everyone's looking around trying to figure out what was going on, where gunfire is coming from. But as I said before, in watching all this play out in the videos that have been available to the public, it's still baffling watching the behavior of the people there. I have seen many videos in my time that have made the news of gunfire being exacted at functions, weddings, parties, festivals, and it's a lot of times you do see people running for safety, running for cover, ducking. Because we also know that running can also be dangerous. You could trample over people. A lot of people have died being trampled on. But it's still something bizarre about the behavior of some of the people at this event. Because I don't understand the filming. That's why I said people are backwards. Everybody's complaining about what should have been done, this and that, but nobody's owning their part in standing around gawking. You're not trying to go get to your car or you're filming. I'm looking at the photographers running right up in front of the podium, taking pictures. I just want you to think about that. You don't know where the gunfire is coming from, number one. You don't know how many gunmen, or women or whomever is shooting, but you're taking pictures. People are also in the audience filming. And even when Mr. Trump rises, throws his hands up, everybody's cheering, you still don't know anything. Because how would you know? You wouldn't. You wouldn't know if there's the gunman still around, or that whole scene is just bizarre to me. I can't wrap my head around it. Now, some people will say, well, they were in shock. Well, you can't really say you're in shock if you're filming. That doesn't make any sense. You will see some people ducking, probably afraid to run. That's saying, hey, let's just duck, lay down. That's your safest bet, of course. But if you're somewhere far back and not in that vicinity of where the podium is or the podium was, and you're like farther out standing listening, the best thing to have done would be to do what? Would be to run. But instead, you have people filming. That's why I said I don't understand how some of these people didn't really take this serious. That's just my opinion. Naturally, there'll be more videos coming out, footage. Allegedly, they have a video of a bullet that went past his face. My thing is, why are we talking about a bullet going past his face? His ear got clipped. I don't understand any of the commentary that's taking place pertaining to this event at all. Oh, we got a picture of a bullet that went by his face. Okay, so you forgot about the other side of his face that got clipped, the ear? Lord have mercy. Help me understand. Because I don't get it. I don't get anything. CBS Philadelphia 3 News. It's a commentary you just heard pertaining to the ER doctor. We're now going to hear from Sky News Australia. They have been very strong in their opinions pertaining to the debacle that took place on Saturday. Some of these reporters basically are saying that Mr. Trump was failed. Some of you probably agree. But as I said, dissect all of the information, because what you're going to hear later from Secret Service coordinator, what they're going to do at the convention is not the same as what took place out in the middle of nowhere. They will have more people, more agencies, more people on the ground helping with the convention this week. Where he was the middle of nowhere, and I don't know how many people are on the detail, but it's not going to be nowhere near the people who are going to be working on the ground this week in Milwaukee. So there's a major difference. And also, a former president does not have the magnitude of detail as if he was still president. So that's something else that needs to be factored in. So then you also have to ask how many people were on the ground that were in law enforcement and what were their actual duties and who is supposed to be on all points of outbuildings. And will we get that information? We will see. Sky News Australia is my next source. Thank you for joining.
Fury has been unleashed on the Secret Service after Donald Trump narrowly escaped an assassination attempt over the weekend. The Secret Service was humiliated following their incompetent response to the shooting, with very serious questions now being asked of what should be the most elite security organization in the world. Sky News All-Stars James McPherson, Danica DiGiorgio, and Alex Stein take a look at how the Secret Service let down Donald Trump. Donald Trump came as close to death as anyone could on Saturday evening in Pennsylvania. A bullet from a lone shooter on a rooftop grazed his ear, narrowly missing his head in what could have been a catastrophic disaster for the former president. The initial images of the Secret Service leaping on top of Donald Trump and escorting him off stage were shared across the globe. But as the dust settles, serious questions are being asked of this supposed elite security organization, by Sky News All-Stars James McPherson and Danica DiGiorgio.
Trump survived the assassination attempt, but the attack raises at least 4 key questions that now need to be asked. First and not least of which, is there a leak in the Secret Service? There's a couple of really interesting things about the events of earlier today. Firstly, how was a sniper able to position himself on a rooftop with clear line of sight just over 100 meters from Donald Trump? Second, how was it that people in the crowd spotted the sniper before anyone from the Secret Service did? And third, how was it that while police tried to find this suspicious individual, who numerous people had pointed out, Trump was allowed to stand on stage and continue speaking? The moment that there was suspicion that something was afoot, Trump should immediately have been removed from the stage. I want to show you an interview that was broadcast earlier with a witness who alerted security services to the fact there was a man on a roof with a gun.
We noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling off the roof of the building beside us. He had a rifle. We went to get cleared to see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, oh, but they didn't know what was going on. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots were down.
James, this is unbelievable. I mean, this witness clearly speaks very well. He was able to clearly articulate exactly what he had seen. So to give him the benefit of the doubt, you've got to go, well, what on earth happened here? I think this was a complete abject failure by the Secret Service. You do have to now ask, was there in fact a leak? What went wrong here? Because the gravity of the failures cannot be underestimated. In fact, I would say this is catastrophic, because if you have a look at this photo of just how close the bullet came to Donald Trump's face. We've got that photo hopefully coming up for you soon. But I mean, it came really, literally within millimeters. Here it is now. Look at that. You can see it there in a straight line. One wrong turn, one turn of the face to another way, we would be having a very different conversation tonight.
Sky News All-Star Alex Stein blasted the Secret Service for their lack of professionalism.
But you had to ask the question. I mean, that would have to be one of the biggest cock-ups by the Secret Service that we have ever seen.
And it really just doesn't make sense, because when you saw that once he got shot and they piled on top of him, later on Fox News edited this part out, but they even said, what do we do? Because, they practice these role-playing games, these strategies, and what actually happens, they were in, a state of disbelief, in my opinion.
And former FBI Protections Detail Agent Mike Harrigan agrees, saying this was a failure in protection work for the Secret Service.
The fact that this kid was able to get so close and was able to get a shot away, in your view?
Yeah, in my view, absolutely a failure. In protection work, anytime there's an attack on the principal or your protectee, it's a failure, right? Especially at pre-planned events such as this, where you have time to set up the event and you have time to lay out your security plan, implement your security plan, and always a failure. Now, sometimes those failures can be beyond the reasonable scope of what the Secret Service can and should have done. In this instance, with the shooter approximately 130 yards away from a rooftop, I mean, that's a very basic tenet of protection work, is to protect your high ground, clear that area, and secure it. So clearly a failure. Now, whether it was a human failure based on an oversight or lack of competency, or maybe the other side could have been a lack of resources that made some tough decisions on the ground, the team leader, to put people where he thought the risk was highest. So it'll take a good after-action review here, which is got to be done and will be done, to really look at the circumstances and find out why this happened.
Former Special Assistant to President Donald Trump, Andrew Giuliani, doubled down on this, saying it was a catastrophic security failure not to shut down the high points around the perimeter.
Somebody who's seen the advance for so many different events as I work with President Trump in the White House, I've talked about this time and time again. Secret Service looks at high points that's far outside their perimeter. They look at high points up to 1.5 miles out. If they think there are a couple of people in the world that can make a sniper shot
then they will shut that down. The fact that he was 125 meters away, you're talking about 30 times closer than the longest shot that has ever been made. So to me, this is a catastrophic failure that cost the life of an American, that had two people that are critical now because of this failure. And like I said, it nearly cost the life of the 45th president and the leading candidate for president as well.
The Secret Service has also been slammed with diversity hires that contributed to the failures on the day, which Sky News All-Star Danica DiGiorgio describes as fumbling fumbleinas.
Well, as the Secret Service rushed to get Donald Trump away from the chaos, have a look at the fumbling fumbleinas who comprise his security detail.
Well, weigh in. Now that's all on camera. The woman trying to put her weapon in her holster, probably nervous. Maybe that's why she was fumbling. She was nervous. Because in the end, these people are risking their lives to protect whomever. And if you don't know who else may be involved, you would be a nervous wreck. So far, there was only one person shooting.
Joining us from the USA is host of the Brett versus Everyone podcast, Brett Colombo. Brett, what's going on with these Secret Service agents? I mean, they can't holster their guns. They're more concerned with securing their sunglasses than securing Donald Trump. They're running around like chooks without heads.
Yeah, it's a real clown show. I mean, we're going to need to have a serious inquisition inside the Secret Service, which is a federal agency, because there's no way to look at this. Everything that went down on Saturday night here in the U.S. and Pennsylvania during this attempted assassination, there's no way to look at it as anything other than a massive failure, both of strategic and execution and planning on behalf of the Secret Service. And also, former presidents don't get the same level of Secret Service protection that they do as actual presidents.
Okay, so right there he says they do not get the level of protection they would if they were the president. So is that possibly the problem that transpired on Saturday? He did not have detail as if he was a current president. So that's why I asked how many people were on the detail, number one. Who was the lead? How many people on the ground were other law enforcement? We did see a sniper on the roof of one of the buildings. Was that sniper part of the Secret Service detail or another organization?
And I think we might need to reevaluate that, especially given what went down, because Secret Service did not seem up to snuff on this evening, and the consequences were almost incredibly dire.
And Alex Stein agrees, saying the best people were not hired for the job, thanks to DEI.
This goes back to the DEI. Instead of hiring the best Secret Service you saw, it was a woman trying to carry Donald Trump on the stage because he wanted to stand up and walk. So I'm not saying this is some sort of inside job. I'm just saying that this is a lack of professionalism in the Secret Service that doesn't care about actually protecting Donald Trump, in my personal opinion.
Comment.
Well, let's go there. Is that fair to say? Because she's a woman? Candace, she's here to give her 2 cents. Miss Candace Owens, who's been very vocal in the political arena. Is that fair to say she can't carry him? Why? Because she's a shorter person. I saw that in the comment. Someone saying, well, 5 feet tall, it's an inches. Can't protect a person 6 feet tall. Well, in the end, the government hired her. So you have a problem with someone being 5 feet tall trying to protect someone of a taller stature, then you might need to take that up with the national government. It is what it is. She's hired. Let's ask that question as well. Do you feel like women should be in Secret Service work? But then one would say, well, that would be bias. So that means Secret Service, FBI, where do you draw the line? You're also going to hear that the Secret Service is diverse in their hiring. So that would lead you to believe they're hiring all races, all heights. So you're entitled to your opinion. I'm just relaying the information.
David Candace Owens agrees, saying we need men in these positions.
But when it comes to the responsibility of guarding the former president of the United States, we need men. Can we acknowledge reality? Are we allowed to acknowledge gender and sex and the natural biological proclivities of men versus women? Are we allowed to do that? Because guess what? I don't care what they're allowed to do. I've been doing it the entire time. I want male pilots. I want male security guards. I want men back, okay? Men back doing male tasks that they are naturally inclined to do because of their body composition, because of the testosterone that is coursing through their veins.
Commentator Matt Walsh also agreed, tweeting, there should not be any women in the Secret Service. And Sky News All-Star James McPherson revealed the concerning DEI focus of the director of the Secret Service, which led to failures in relation to the Donald Trump attempted assassination.
Well, with questions being asked about how the Secret Service allowed a bullet to come within millimetres of killing Donald Trump, a video surfaced showing the agency's boss, Kimberly Chittle, boasting about the desire to increase diversity.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Khare to train with agents.
I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce.
Well, that explains a lot, doesn't it?
The Secret Service website says that diversity is a priority that is critical to our success. I would have thought our success is making sure shooters don't get within 120 metres of a presidential candidate with a clear range of sight.
Well, look, so it kind of reminds me of our ADF. It's about, hiring on diversity, not necessarily the people who could be doing the right job. But I think that clip will come back to haunt them now when they conduct this thorough investigation to what's gone wrong here, because in the end, it's about the right person for the job. Am I right, James?
Yeah, I was struck by the shot footage earlier of Trump being bundled into the vehicle to get away from the scene. And there were a lot of female Secret Service agents. I don't know if I can say this to Nick, you tell me about a line, but I'm not sure you want ladies being the first line of protection against potential shooters.
Well, it wasn't just that from that vision, James. The woman was struggling with putting her gun back. There was a woman who was busy then putting her sunglasses on. There was a lot of fumbling around in what were really critical moments, trying to get the president away from that scene and then back into the car again.
The sense of the Secret Service are things.
Well, I mean, that's all about is diversity, James. It's all about diversity.
Well, one could say, well, Trump wasn't really too excited about getting in the car either. He still was wanting to pump his fist up. You're bleeding. That's why I said I don't understand anything that took place at this event, the behavior. Because you would think a person would be trying to get the hell out of there. I would. I'm bleeding. I need to get to the emergency room. I can talk to the public later. That's just my feelings. I can talk to the public later. I can do an interview when I'm better. When I've got my ears sewed up. How about that? So all this is now playing out in real time. Who was fumbling with a gun? Who was fumbling with sunglasses allegedly? That is now going to be the hottest topic on the block. So this information I'm bringing to you is by Sky News Australia. They have been very harsh in their commentary pertaining to the events that took place on Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania. Is it fair? Weigh in. You also hear the one guy saying, yes, it was a failure, but he does not have the detail, Mr. Trump, that he would have as if he was a standing president. So that may play a role in what happened on Saturday. Detail of a former president is not the same as a current president. So that's why I ask all the questions. Is that possible a possibility why this person was able to crawl on top of a building and lie in wait. Now you got to ask that question. How long was he up there? When did he get to the scene? It's all interesting information for a 20-year-old. And people can judge and say, well, he wasn't a good shooter at 14, 15. Well, he did pretty damn good on Saturday. Not to be rude, but arguing and bickering about a bullet going by somebody's face. I don't even know why that's a topic of discussion. Oh, I saw the bullet. Oh, we've got a frame of the bullet. Okay, so you forgot about that another bullet clipped him, killed a man, allegedly wounded another woman. You're not hearing nothing about that. Wounded some other politician's nephew. Nobody's talking about that. And then you got 2 other people in critical condition. So the point is he wasn't going to stop until he got his target. I think that was the purpose of him showing up there. And luckily, there weren't any more fatalities. So that's why I said the behavior of people there is bizarre to me when you look at what actually transpired. There's a dead person, and somebody has to bury that dead person. So while everybody's cheering and jumping up and down that Mr. Trump survived, what about that dead man? What about the other people who were wounded? Because I can say that if I was to turn on the news at that time, Saturday, and I had no idea what was going on, I would have never assumed somebody was dead. I'm just going to keep it real. I would have never assumed there were people wounded and a dead person. So this is why I said nobody's really paying attention to what the hell happened Saturday. Everybody's, going on and on about, oh, they failed. But the behavior is odd. And like I said, if somebody was just turning on their TV or their phone and they turned the video on and they had no idea that somebody was shot, okay? You just turn the video on. You see him up bleeding at the ear and then cheering. You could tell he was a bit looking like he was disoriented naturally. You still wouldn't say to yourself that somebody's dead, okay? And when you're looking at the video of the service people trying to help him, he's down, they're covered, and they jump back up, trying to shield him. First glance at the video, you're not saying to yourself that there's somebody dead. You're just looking like a normal person, like, okay, what's going on here? You don't know that somebody's been pulled out on a stretcher, dead. You don't know that 2 other people have been pulled out from a stretcher or carried out by a hand, rather. They all been carried out by hand. You don't know that. You're just looking at Donald Trump and these people shielding him. And you're thinking, okay, what happened? So then we got people complaining days ago. Why don't you say it was an attempt on his life? Well, see, this is what it shows you how messed up people's thinking is. You're complaining that you want them to say that there was an attempted assassination, but then had they said that and it wasn't, then you'd be bitching and complaining that, oh, they're trying to say they tried to kill him. See, this is why I keep telling people, you can't please nobody ever, because there is always a damn complaint. Because the main ones that complain about the news and the media reporting misinformation. So had they jumped up and said there was an attempt to kill the damn man, you'd be bitching about that. Had it not been an actual gun. And then people were going back and forth. I can't tell if it's a gun or were people shooting. And then you start talking to other people who are coming forward. Oh, yeah, it sounded like gunfire. So you got 2 sides of the coin. I couldn't tell what was going on versus I could tell it was gunfire. So now people are going to sit in the audience and weigh that. Like, okay, you don't know what gunfire sounds like? I'm just saying. This is the reason why people can't get along. So you think about this. If they're arguing and bickering about what fucking gunfire sounds like, how are you going to still keep preaching about unifying people when you're arguing about what gunfire sounds like? I'm just saying. Because I've heard it all in the past couple of days. Oh, I didn't know what was going on. Then you got the guy with the red hair and the visor. Oh, I can hear it. Then we've got him saying, oh, we saw him crawling up on the building. He was up there for minutes. Now we're to 3-4 minutes he was up there. Then we've got a picture of a sniper not shooting. But that's just a still photo. That's not telling me anything. Still photo doesn't verify how many minutes a person sat and actually saw a person on a building. It's just a still photo. So to me, that's not a receipt. Somebody would have to show a video in real time. But then you got a chaotic situation. And then you got to think how many yards away he is from the people and security. If you are yards away, how would the police know what you're saying? I'm just saying. Because all those buildings are separate. So if you're yelling at the police yards away and people are talking and, it's loud, you got to now prove they knew what you were saying. That you were saying, hey, there's somebody on top of the building. Hey, there's somebody on top of the building. It's that's why I said all of this is just bizarre to me. Very, very bizarre. Yeah, that's all everybody's been doing is complaining. But once you heard what, that's been said in this commentary, his detail is not the same. That might have a lot to do with why this guy was able to get up on top of the building. Because he is not the president. He is a former president. So you don't even know how many people he had on his detail. So that should be mentioned first. How many people was on his detail? What was their experience? Then the second thing, then the flip side of that is, what experience can you have of trying to protect the person getting shot? Like the person said here, oh, we can role play. But everybody knows role playing is not the same as an actual shooting. Come on now. You can role play, send you out into that little make-believe setup they have at Quantico, jumping out. Somebody comes behind a door. It happens all the time in real life. FBI agents getting shot. Got shot in North Carolina not too long ago when they did a raid on this guy's house. Because you don't know who's in the house. You don't know what he's got in the house. Those women, they came out, they had sense enough to say, oh, we're getting the hell out of here. We're not going to die in this house. That's the point, because you don't know. You're going to serve somebody a warrant. You're asking them kindly, could you please come outside? But you don't know what they have in there. You don't know if they have ammunition, if they've got bombs. You don't understand what I'm saying. You don't know what the hell they got. You don't know if there's other people that's willing to go out and blaze the glory, because there's people who have that type of mindset. And then when you count, as I said before, this is open. This is not like a dome. This is wide open. Anything could have jumped off. A person could have flown a plane into the open field where they were. Somebody could have crashed a helicopter. Somebody could have came with a tractor trailer. Stay woke. Somebody could have came with a bulldozer. 2 or 3 people could have said, come on, let's get together. He's in town. We're going to go run over here with a bulldozer. See, nobody was even thinking about stuff like that. You just looking at people with 2 feet, 2 hands with guns and think that is supposed to protect another human being. That's why I know that people don't even think. You're not even realistic. You're in the middle of nowhere, for God's sake. You're in the middle of nowhere. Just imagine had it been more than one person conspiring to do this. So far, we only hear that it's just the one young, 20-year-old. So just imagine if a group of people say, oh, he's coming to town. He's going to be out in such and such, such and such. Then you survey the area. You do the Google search. You drive around the place. Check it out, which I'm sure the 20-year-old did all that too. You could go through there in a steamboat just with 3 or 4 bulldozers, tractor trailers, and mow everybody down in fucking sight. You can't fight a tractor trailer. You can't fight a bulldozer. You can't fight an airplane falling down or a helicopter. Then think about if it had explosives or something on it. Nobody's realistic. You're just complaining about, well, they didn't do this, but I had to sit and think about everything before forming an opinion. You're in the middle of nowhere. And it's wide open, for God's sake. The possibilities are endless of things you could do out there because there's nothing to keep the area contained. So it's different out in the middle of a field versus a convention center. As you're going to hear the next information, they planned this for 18 months at the convention center. No way I believe Donald Trump planned this event in Butler 18 months ago. I don't believe that. And as I said before, you got to ask yourself how many people in law enforcement were on the ground besides Secret Service. Last checkpoints of all outbuildings. And even when you look at the area view of those outbuildings where he was on top of one of them, they're now saying he was jumping from roof to roof. Don't know if that's true or not. There's an alcove inside those buildings, possibly where air conditioning units were. Who's to say he hadn't been hiding in there? See, you don't know that because you can't see it from the ground. You have to see it from a drone. So when people start complaining about, well, how did he do this? How did he do this? Did somebody check inside the alcoves? Because you can't see it from the ground. You have to be up in the air to know you could possibly, hide in this little compartment area. But you probably wouldn't pay no attention to it walking by. You have to see it from the high area view. I saw it in one of the drone footage, and I said, oh, anybody could just crawl over that little wall or whatever and crawl in there and just lie in wait. But you can't see that. Walking up from probably different angles of the property. You wouldn't even probably think about what's over that wall. Why would you? So now you got to ask how many people were on top of buildings, because there were a few outbuildings. There were the outbuildings where he shot allegedly from. Then you had these other buildings that sat directly behind the rafters. Okay? So allegedly, I believe that's where the snipers were. And then to the side would have been where he had a view. Then something about that kind of bothered me. Something about that bothered me. Because I thought he was shooting directly from behind. But then now they're saying, no, that's where the snipers were. They were behind the rafters. I don't know. Because I'm thinking if he was shooting from the side, he would have shot right straight through his ear. Something's off. Something's very off here. Something is very off. Because if I'm just sitting here thinking about where they say he was positioned to the side, it seemed like to me if he was shooting from the side, he would have shot him directly through the ear, which would have went through the head. That's why I was confused when they said, oh, he was at the he was over on these buildings. And then when they showed the area view, I thought he might have been in the buildings that were right behind the rafters. But now they're saying, no, that's where the snipers were. So hell, I'm sitting there thinking, well, hell, if that's where the snipers were, who's to say that one of them didn't shoot him? So somebody need to bring a receipt where this boy actually was. I'm just saying. Because I'm going to use deduction. If he's using a high-power AR-15 and he's shooting from the side, Trump would not be alive right now. I don't believe it. Because in order to shoot the ear is attached to the head. And with that type of power, the bullet would have gone straight through. I don't believe it would have just snipped the ear. Yeah, just from what they're saying. That's why I said you need a receipt to, he's lying up there deceased. You can see that there's a person lying up there, up there on the building. But the way they're showing it from the area view, it's kind of strange. Because I thought he was lying on a building behind the rafters. So that's why I said, I don't know if this information is correct or not. I don't really want to stand on any of it at the moment. But from the area view, they're showing that wasn't right behind him. They made it seem like where the snipers were, they were right behind him. I don't know. I have to look again. This is very strange. All right, let's hear from the coordinator and the chief of police of Wisconsin and the mayor. They have a lot they have to say pertaining to this convention that's getting ready to take place this week. Will this be safer? The convention. We will see. So we've talked about a motive from the shooter. We've heard from the doctor who was there on the scene as a spectator. We heard from Sky News Australia. They've had some very strong words pertaining to the failing of Mr. Trump by Secret Service. Was he failed by Secret Service? Now we're going to hear from the Secret Service, who gives an update on the RNC security for this week. Face the Nation is the source. Thank you for joining me. That's why you have to listen to everything they have to say before forming an opinion. Because if you're not on the ground, you don't know. And now that they're saying, he doesn't have the same detail as he would as the president, then you have to just really use common sense. You're expecting all these people to be in unison for the common good. And that don't mean that it works like that. I'm not saying anybody was doing anything nefarious, but you're expecting this group and this group and this group to all work in one. And I'm just going to say this. When you look at Uvalde, you shouldn't even really question any damn thing. Because Uvalde is a prime example. 300 plus people sat outside of a school while one young person went in rooms and gunned down teachers and kids. That should tell you something right there. And I got a feeling there were way more people at Uvalde than what was at that damn Trump rally. 300 plus officers called to that school, Robb Elementary, and they stood outside that school for an hour. An hour. That's proof in the pudding of anything happening. So really, there shouldn't even be no shock. Because as I just said, this event took place in the middle of nowhere outside where anybody could just run up, walk up. You'd have to have somebody, that's really every few feet. Standing guard. Lying on top of buildings. So that would probably be the next question. Should they have had officers, Secret Service people on top of each outbuilding?
I want to take you now live over to Milwaukee. The Secret Service is giving an update on security measures ahead of the Republican National Convention. They are not answering questions about the incident in Butler, Pennsylvania, though. Let's listen.
Law enforcement and public safety partners work together to design security plans for national special security events. They are designed to be adaptable based on the changing security landscape and most up-to-date intelligence from our partners.
Now, the lady speaking, her name is Audrey Gibson Cincino. She's the assistant.
We've been working on our RNC security plan for more than a year and have been in constant coordination with our partners and the Republican National Committee. During our extensive planning efforts, we have accounted for various security scenarios that may arise, and we are confident in the plan we have implemented for the.
She's an assistant coordinator. Just want to make sure I get that out there. She's assistant coordinator, but she's not answering any questions pertaining to Saturday. Let me make that clear. And what perturbed me during all this conversation, everybody keeps asking her the same damn question over and over and over. And she keeps giving the same answer. So it's like, you can't make her say what you want her to say. You want her to tell you that they failed. She's not going to say that. She's not going to say that. And everybody kept asking the same question, round and round and round. This is some more nonsense right here.
Republican National Convention this week. That security plan will remain in place. While we cannot discuss the specifics, means, and methods used for our protective operations, our protective methodology for NSSEs is based on a layered approach that includes support from federal, state, and local law enforcement and public safety partners. We will continue to assess the security environment and adapt our security measures as appropriate. The Secret Service is working diligently with the Milwaukee Police Department, as well as all of our federal, state, and local partners to ensure a safe and secure convention for attendees, volunteers, and the city of Milwaukee. I'll now introduce the mayor of the city of Milwaukee, Mayor Cavalier Johnson.
Thank you. Several months ago, folks in this room may recall that I worked with a bipartisan group of individuals, both Republicans and Democrats, with one goal in mind, to make sure we have a safe convention for everybody. These national special security events, especially as they relate to the Republican National Convention and the Democratic National Convention, have been stuck at $50 million since 2004. Obviously, things cost a little more than what they did in 2004, and so via phone, via trips to Washington, D.C., and working with members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, we were able to get a $25 million increase to our security grant. I say all that to say that we take this matter very, very seriously. We take public safety very, very seriously. And I've been so pleased to work in collaboration, not just with the United States Secret Service, but also with local law enforcement and public safety on the ground here. As was mentioned, we're joined by the Chief of the Milwaukee Fire Department, Aaron Lipsky, who's been a great partner. And we're also joined by the Chief of Milwaukee Police Department, Jeffrey Norman, who's been a great partner as well, working to bring in law enforcement officers from not just across the state of Wisconsin, but across the United States to help out with public safety here. Let me just reiterate what was already said. This is an NSSE, a National Special Security Event. It is the highest designation that you can get for a security event of its size and magnitude in the United States. We have that designation, and we'll continue to work to make sure that public safety is tantamount here in this community. With that in mind, I'll take the opportunity to pass it over to the Chief of Milwaukee Police Department, Chief Jeffrey Norman.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. 18 months. 18 months that these plans have been put into place in regards to what we're going to have for this event. This is a collaboration between federal, state, local, but beyond just from a law enforcement community, this is a collaboration between our elected leaders from both local, state, and also national. But also we have engaged community. We have workings with our community members in regards to ensuring the safety of this event. While we cannot talk about the operational plans, I can say from the CEO of the Milwaukee Police Department, this local police department here, I'm very comfortable in regards to the plans that we have made together. Not in silos, not where we're just kind of going over peruse, actual planning together. As you can see in regards to my fire side, also from the county side in regards to the type of collaboration. The collaboration is real. As the mayor said, this is a national special security event. Can't get any higher than that in regards to that particular type of designation. And so I just want to reassure not only our community, the greater community, those involved at the convention, but also in our city. We got this. We got this. Thank you.
That's the chief of the Milwaukee Police Department, Wisconsin. We got this. So is he feeling some type of way? Because he don't want to hear any static later. As I said before, the convention is going to be inside. It's not going to be outside. So the demographic is going to be totally different than being out in the field in the open. As I said earlier, not the same. Really, I feel like it was a recipe for disaster being out in the open like that. That's just me. You're talking about being out in rural America. I don't think that was a good idea. But as they have said about Mr. Trump, he likes things a certain way. He likes to do things a certain way. And who's to say that somebody didn't tell him, hey, I don't think this is a good idea. I can see him saying, well, I don't care. I'm going to do it my way, because that's how Mr. Trump is. He does things his own way. I think you've seen that with how things went years ago with him in political office. He didn't listen to what other people had to say. So did somebody tell him that, hey, I don't think this is a good idea out here? You don't have the same detail as you would have as a sitting president. Did somebody say to him, being out here was not a good idea? Curious. Very curious. Now we have the chief here, Milwaukee Police Department. We got this. We got this. Well, I hope so. Because God knows they will try to find somebody to blame. Something pop off this week. Anything. And the one thing that people don't think about is you could have everything secure, have scent dogs walking through every aisle, every seat, every corner, crevice, vent, and somebody still could come in there with a weapon and start shooting people because you forgot one little thing. Most of the people that's going to be in the room are going to have weapons. Ding, ding, ding. So you're just assuming that somebody with a weapon that's law enforcement wouldn't turn the tables at a convention center. Come on now. Who better to come into a room closed up to spray a room and shoot people? Somebody that's trusted with a weapon. Now, Wisconsin has open carry. So as you'll hear from the chief, they don't have jurisdictions of people walking outside on ground with weapons. But I guess they're going to control the elements in the building. But as I just said, with other agencies being involved, local, state, and national government being on the ground in that convention center, all those people are going to have weapons. So who's to say you don't get you a cuckoo bird or somebody wants to get ham or get crunk and they start shooting. But they never cross anybody's mind, because that's the whole point. Anything can happen. And I don't really think people realize that. Anything can happen. So even in this convention center with all these law enforcement people watching everybody, probably got dogs going to be walking around, making sure there's nothing that in, any crevices, corners, vents, as such as, explosives or weapons. All it takes is for somebody who's actually in the venue with a weapon to decide that they want to go ham.
All right, with that, we're going to move into a brief Q&A. Please just place a hand up. We'll call on you. Please wait your turn. One question, one follow-up. Name your name and outlet beforehand. And we'll get through as many as we can before we have to head out here, okay? So we're going to start right here, down the left, black t-shirt.
Chemo Progress from the Secret Service. I don't understand why it is that you have one of the most significant events in the Secret Service's history occurred investigating, and no one from the Secret Service has publicly decided to take questions about what happened. And the FBI today openly giving us an on-the-record briefing about their investigation. But yet, we still have not heard from anyone from the Secret Service about what happened, about what the agency did, about the agency and certain security. And I just want to say how anyone think that that's okay.
So my role in the Secret Service is the RNC coordinator, so that is my purview. Any questions regarding yesterday's event can be directed to our public affairs office out of DC.
Right, it says that this is the first time that anyone from the Secret Service has publicly even spoken to the media since the Secretary's press conference last night. That the Secret Service was not at. Multiple state officials, the FBI is there, but yet the Secret Service is absent. As a result, and he just raises all sorts of questions about why the Secret Service is not willing to answer questions.
So again, I'm the Secret Service's RNC coordinator, so I can speak to the RNC security planning. I'd refer any questions regarding yesterday's incident to our DC public affairs office.
Yes, Mark Meredith, Fox News. I'm curious, obviously you don't want to talk about what happened in Pennsylvania. Have you had to change your security posture at all here? And so how is it a small percent change? Is it looking at over everything once again? And then the follow-up question would be, just in terms of resources, I mean, you mentioned 18 months going into this. Do you feel like you had all the resources you needed to get to this point today, or do you feel like more was?
So as Mayor Johnson and Chief mentioned, this is a national special security event. That designation is the highest level of security designation that the federal government can determine. So we are confident that in these security plans that are in place for this event, and we're ready to go. It's been an 18-month process. We've worked together over that 18 months to develop operational security plans for any and all aspects of security related to this event.
But did it change within the last one? And it changed within the last 20 months?
We're not anticipating any changes to our operational security plans for this event.
Right here in the front in the orange dress.
There's several more features. Wisconsin Governor Beavers told us a little bit ago that he is calling the Secret Service to ban firearms, guns in the software and not just in the ice cream bar. Is that something that the Secret Service is considering or is it doing?
I have not had any conversations regarding that, so I can't speak to that. I have not had any conversations regarding that, so I can't speak to that.
Right here in the front, tie seat.
Is the Secret Service currently anticipating or currently planning to extend further?
We're not anticipating any changes to our current security footprint or plan.
Including a lot of firearms into the software for this Israel.
Anything in the software is outside of our federal jurisdiction.
Why should former President Trump, his family, and convention goers have confidence in the U.S. Secret Service to secure this site here for the next 4 days after his life is really taken into hands?
So this event has been designated as a national special security event, which is the highest level of security for an event that can be designated by the government. So this is a full government approach. We've had an extensive planning process to include many organizations building out the operational security plans for any and all aspects of security related to this event.
Have you had the resources you need?
Yes, we are fully prepared and have a comprehensive security plan in place, and we're ready to go.
It can be an effective action. Why are you not expanding?
So we're confident in the current plan that we have. It is based off of technical assessments, protective intelligence, and we are continuously monitoring information related to the event. So we're confident in the plans that we have, and we're moving forward with those plans.
She said this 3 times already.
Are you not concerned that people can carry firearms within that zone?
So again, the Secret Service inner perimeter is our primary jurisdiction. So I would defer any questions related to outside of that zone to my partners here on the stage.
Yeah. So one of the things I've understood in regards to the inner perimeter, it's the largest inner perimeter that has been part of the convention, to my understanding. Maybe I have to get that clarified. And so that is one important point to be able to understand in regards to what that level of security about what the inner perimeter looks like. In regards to the ability to carry a firearm outside of the inner perimeter, again, our state law allows for the particular right to carry a firearm. We as a city cannot legislate out of that, and I don't know if our mayor wants to speak on that anymore in regards to that. And so for we, in regards to our law enforcement aspect, we have to operate within those guidelines. Unless it's something that is against state law, we have to respect Second Amendment right to carry your firearm, especially in regards to open carry or carry concealed with your license. And so that is a, again, issue that we have to navigate. And I will say this, and I've said this many times, as that is your right, please exercise your right in a responsible manner. Please ensure that the behaviors that we would like to see for those with that responsibility aligns with that responsibility. The Milwaukee Police Department will not tolerate any particular behaviors outside of what is legally allowed in regards to that right.
Well, if that is the issue, then that is going to be an issue. Because he's talking about what they cannot do legally. This chief, this is an open carry state. So basically, what are you saying? People can come into the convention center with a weapon. Then that's going to be a problem, don't you think? You're not trying to go against the law. It's naturally you're not supposed to. So you're going to allow the people to come into the convention center with a gun. Am I hearing that correctly? Because I kept wondering why everybody keeps going around and around and around about asking her the same question about protocol. Maybe this is why they're asking, because you're allowed to carry a gun in this state, outside and inside. Lord have mercy. If that's true, then yeah, that would be a problem. Because you can't assume that every person that's coming to the conventions is going to be an actual supporter of the candidates. That would be a problem. So then we have to say to Mr. Trump, do you think this is a good idea to be going here? You don't want to put it off, but would it make sense to go somewhere where people are open to carry inside of a structure? That wouldn't make any sense. That would make any sense at all.
Thank you, Chief. And just to reiterate what the Chief said, local ordinances in the state of Wisconsin do not supersede state law. Wisconsin is an open carry state, and therefore the city of Milwaukee and no other jurisdiction in this state can supersede that state law. Folks should be aware, though, that proactively before the convention gets started, we did take action at the local level to ban items that we could ban. So we use our authority already at the municipal level to take that sort of security precaution that we were able to do. But in terms of banning weapons in the outer perimeter, that is not within our purview because of state law.
So he says outer perimeter. So is he saying outside? I'm confused. I'm so confused. Because when you say outer perimeter, I'm thinking you mean outside. Can't ban them outside. I don't know.
The New York Times the Secret Service. There haven't been any changes to the overall security plan. Have there been changes to the protection plan for the former president, his family, and other officials?
So I'm the RNC coordinator, so I can only speak to the National Special Security event. The plans that we have in place will continue as is, and we're confident in those plans.
She has said this at least 4 times.
Things and classes. Yes, ma'am. And I'll ask you, are there any new threats to the RNC or to protesters and how we
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Michael Hensel. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI for the state of Wisconsin. For your first question, the men and women of the FBI in the state of Wisconsin who work in our 6 offices, along with the assistance of our 56 field offices across the United States, and our domestic and international federal partners have worked over the last 18 months to take information in, intelligence in, evaluate that information, and then disseminate it to both our state and local partners to address any threats. Currently, there are no known articulated threats against the RNC or anyone visiting the RNC.
Hey, Laura.
That's important because we also need the help of the public. If they see something during this time or feel uncomfortable with something, please let us know. Let your local law enforcement agencies know, or the FBI. 1-800 call the FBI.
We're going to go ahead and make sure we get other questions first, and we can come back to you. Just hold 1 minute, please. Did you have a follow-up? Next question? Right back there.
Just to be clear, did you or did you not make changes to the security plan based on the events of yesterday?
There have been no changes to our current operational security plans for this event.
Why not? Given that that's the assassination.
So again, this event is designated as a national special security event, so it is an 18-month process that involves all levels of government that are contributing to.
I don't understand. Why does everybody keep asking the same damn question? She's not going to deviate from the answer. Help me understand why everybody's having difficulty with this. You keep asking her about Saturday. She just told you she don't work on that detail. What do you want her to say? Go ask, not her. She's working for the convention. She's the coordinator for the convention. You keep asking her, what are you doing different? What are you doing different? What are you doing different? Are you going to do something different? Why not? And she just told you. I have nothing to do with what happened Saturday. I didn't work that detail. And you steady asking her about, I don't understand, what is the problem? To keep asking the same damn question over and over and over. Y'all asking her the same question 1,000 different ways. And guess what? She keeps giving you the same damn answer. We've planned this for 18 months. We're working with different agencies. Because that's the whole point. What happened out there is not the same structure like over in Milwaukee. As I said, it's not to say that something could not happen in this structure, but that was wide open. And we don't even have a head count yet of how many people were on the ground as far as Secret Service and local law enforcement Saturday. We don't even have a head count yet. Don't even know who the lead was locally versus Secret Service. And you're asking her, and she didn't work that detail. So how's she going to tell you what went wrong? She can't tell you. And yet you all keep asking the same damn question over and over again. Don't you get it? She don't have the answer. She just told you what her position is. Then you steady asking, well, why we haven't heard from nobody? Lord have mercy. Because they ain't ready to tell you nothing. That's why. I suspect they'll tell you when they're ready. When they have all the information. They'll tell you who was the lead, who wasn't the lead, how many agencies were on the ground, where everybody was supposed to be, who was supposed to double check. Gotta wait. I mean, that's all you got right now. Just saying.
Operational security plans for this event. So we have an operational security plan that's built out for every area of responsibility related to any and all aspects of security related to this event.
Local and state officials on the station, they then change your plans for this event, bring in
Oh my God.
officers, more intelligence gathering, maybe anything else.
Yeah, I can just reiterate what I said before in terms of what the city of Milwaukee has done. Our council, in conjunction with me, passed and signed a local ordinance to make sure that there's more protection in the outer perimeter as it relates to officers from across the state of Wisconsin or elsewhere coming in to assist with public safety around this. I defer to Chief Moore.
They're just going around in circles.
No change.
He just said that. Oh my God. This is crazy.
I'm sorry. So the ordinance that I'm referring to that.
All right, we've been listening to the Secret Service, the FBI, Milwaukee Police, that's the mayor of Milwaukee, as well as other officials, all giving updates on the security measures ahead of the Republican National Convention, which officially kicks off tomorrow. The Secret Service said they are not anticipating any changes to their security plans following the attempted assassination on the former president, in part because the RNC already had the highest security designation. Now, one of the challenges that security addressed during this press conference is the open carry laws of the state of Wisconsin. But the chief of Milwaukee Police said he believes that this is the largest inner perimeter of any convention and is, quote, very comfortable with the plans, adding, "We got this." I'm going to bring back in Scott McFarland, who is in Butler, Pennsylvania for us. He was there at the rally. He has continued to cover every aspect of this. And Scott, I'm just wondering, you've been listening to this press conference as well. What stood out to you?
Yeah, the Secret Service taking lead on this historic event that begins tomorrow in Milwaukee is expected. It's noteworthy, but it's not lost to the folks here in Butler, Pennsylvania. They were lead on securing the event yesterday that ended in a calamitous failure, a monumental, historic, singular failure at an event with thousands of people. All of them went through magnetometers. All of them were screened. To be vulnerable to a shooting is a massive failure. As the investigation's underway here in Butler, Pennsylvania, let me tell you a few of the most recent updates, Lana. We've learned from law enforcement sources the FBI is in possession of the shooter's phone. It's now at the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia. The shooter's family is cooperating with the investigation, and according to law enforcement sources, the firearm used was lawfully purchased by the shooter's family some years ago. The crime scene, which is way behind me on a blocked-off road at a farm festival event space, is almost like it's captured in amber. It hasn't moved. It's caught in place. It is the scene of one of the most distinctive criminal investigations in U.S. history, and everything there is untouched from yesterday. Many of the thousands in the crowd left belongings behind. We left belongings and equipment behind. The enormous U.S. flag that was hung over the stage for Donald Trump to speak beneath is still waving in the wind, hanging there. This is a distinctive spot right now as they investigate the near assassination of a former U.S. president and whatever evidence exists on this farm field in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Well, Scott, unfortunately, as is all too frequent with public shootings like this, those moments are captured there and with belongings strewn about, left in time. But I want to go back to what you were saying about the Secret Service and the massive failure at the event yesterday. You could hear from the reporters a bit of frustration, both that the Secret Service has not been briefing on the events in Butler, and we just heard that the representative of the Secret Service stressed those questions need to go to somebody else. I'm just here to talk about the RNC. But then also this would seem curious that there were no changes to any of the security efforts there. Is that surprising?
Okay. Brief intermission, everybody.
There. Is that surprising?
They're at what they consider the highest threshold of security postures in Milwaukee, as if you can't ratchet it up a notch higher, it's already a national security event, with what I think the Secret Service would characterize as the most rigid possible security standards. The Secret Service is not leading this investigation here in Butler, Pennsylvania. This is an FBI investigation, and the Secret Service unequivocally is going to be the subject of investigations by others about how they performed or failed to perform here. We have both parties in Congress who rarely line up on anything saying they're going to launch investigations into what went wrong, how an event that was supposed to be uniquely secure became so insecure. And the Secret Service is now going to be a focal point of these investigations. There were multiple law enforcement agencies there yesterday, and there are here today, local, county, state, but this was the Secret Service's show on Saturday night in Butler, Pennsylvania, and Congress is going to call them forward to answer questions. Even though they're not in session this week, those questions will begin this week.
All right, Scott McFarland there for us in Butler, Pennsylvania, having witnessed everything firsthand, still continuing to report for us. We really appreciate you, Scott. Thanks. We have now our Justice Security correspondent Nicole Scango with us on here in Studio 57, also one who has been reporting every aspect, every new detail. You were listening to that briefing as well. What are we learning now about the investigation? What are the latest details you can share?
Yeah, well, the FBI did give a briefing earlier today, and we learned a little bit more about how federal law enforcement is piecing through the evidence within this investigation, all of it being sent to Quantico, including the gunman's phone. As of now, investigators have not been able to unlock the phone. They were able to get a hold of some messages. So far, nothing concerning, but still looking through the gunman's social media. We are told he does have a small footprint there, and investigators trying to get to the bottom of what was the motive and confirming that this gunman appears to have worked alone. At this point, no indication that there were others coordinating at all with the gunman here. Law enforcement also saying that there's no current public safety concern, and you did just hear from FBI at that Secret Service briefing as well, saying that the FBI knows of no known articulated threats towards the Republican National Convention. That said, a somewhat shocking statement from U.S. Secret Service that there are no changes to plan, no plans to change, rather, its existing security
Right, because
perimeter.
initially we thought that maybe the security perimeter was going to expand.
And even as late, as recently, I should say, as last night, there were law enforcement moving barricades surrounding the Republican National Convention last night. There were indications that perhaps there would be a larger security presence at the event. The Department of Homeland Security sent out a statement suggesting as much. And so this operational briefing, in part surprising. Now, it is what the Department of Homeland Security refers to as a Tier 1 event. Scott referenced it there. It's a national special security event. That is the highest designation the federal government can give. That means in addition to having local law enforcement there, there are over 24 states sending officers to help bolster the security footprint. It means not only FBI will be there, but there will be Homeland Security investigations. There will be CBP officers. There will be other law enforcement within the federal government bolstering this. And all of this is led by the U.S. Secret Service. They have been planning this for 18 months. That said, we are talking about a historic and singular moment with the assassination attempt of the former president. So it is quite shocking to hear that briefing. And it is frankly notable that the U.S. Secret Service has not yet briefed the press on the events that unfolded yesterday.
Yes, there was a briefing by the FBI. You listened to that. I'm going to play for our audience a little bit of what was said.
And we have several items of evidence that are in the process of being transported to the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia, for processing and exploitation, to include the shooter's weapon and his cellular telephone. I can confirm that the gun used in the shooting was an AR style 5.56 rifle, which was purchased legally.
So we heard more information about the weapon that was used and the cell phone, as we discussed. How long might it take investigators to actually get information off of that cell phone?
Well, we are standing by for more information regarding how difficult it will be to crack. You heard the president say earlier today he hopes this is a quick and thorough investigation, but right now investigators still unable to open that phone. We should point out, you mentioned the weapon, that AR style 5.56. Right now, investigators also trying to figure out whether or not we know, based on tracing of that weapon, that it was legally purchased by the gunman's father. Whether or not the gunman borrowed it, took it, stole the weapon, all of that pointing to possible further charges of the family. We do know the family at this time is cooperating and speaking with investigators.
Fully cooperative, as are others that we have heard from the nursing home where he worked, the community college. Everybody's saying that they are shocked by this, but that they are all pledging their full support. All right, Nicole Skagit, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Let me give you a little bit of background pertaining to this Wisconsin law and this convention is going to take place 4 days in Milwaukee, so people can get an understanding of what they were talking about. Because everybody kept asking this lady coordinator the same question over and over and over, like you're going to try to make her say what you want to hear. She can't tell you what you want to hear. She just told you she's a coordinator for the Republican National Convention, not what happened Saturday. So I don't know why everybody kept asking her the same damn question over and over and over. She keep giving you the same answer, yet everybody keep asking. The mayor comes up, says the same damn thing over and over. Then he got to go call the damn chief of police to come back and say the same damn thing. What is the problem with everybody acting like they don't understand English? So Queen's going to break it down for you so you can really have something to go complain about. What is considered open carry? This is the state of Wisconsin. You are considered to be openly carrying if the gun is in plain view while you are in public. So if that gun is not in open view, then you must have a concealed carry permit. So they ask, can you open carry while driving in Wisconsin? You can have a loaded pistol in the car as long as it is visible, not covered or concealed in any way. Unless you have concealed carry permit, it is considered loaded if it has bullets in the magazine, even if one is not in the chamber. It's not chambered. A rifle is different. It cannot be loaded and must be displayed above the window line of the vehicle. Otherwise, it must be in a case. Open carry in a bar, Wisconsin. You must be concealed carry licensee or public officer to go inside a public building or a place where alcohol is served. You must also abstain from drinking there. Entering a bar without a permit could earn you a Class A misdemeanor. Concealed carry. As long as you are within a home or place of business that you own, lease, or otherwise legally occupy, you may conceal and carry a weapon as you see fit. Once you leave your home, you must possess a concealed carry permit from the state that is up to date or an out-of-state license if you are not a state resident. The concealed carry license also permits you to carry a weapon into public buildings. Repeat. The concealed carry license also permits you to carry a weapon into public buildings and locations that are licensed to sell alcohol. That's the reason why I guess the chief made that comment about behaving properly. Because obviously you can carry it inside of a building. Law enforcement officers may request to see both photographic identification and your concealed carry permit at any time. So always have both of them on you, preferably in an easy-to-reach location that won't provoke the officer when you reach for it in what could be a tense situation involving firearms. For a citizen with no prior record, carrying a concealed weapon without a permit anywhere within the state is a Class A misdemeanor, putting you at risk to up to $10,000 in fines, $10,000 in fines, 9 months of jail time, or as much of both as the judge decides. Okay. So then it goes on to talk about mentally ill and felons. You are not permitted to carry, to own or carry firearms and not eligible for a concealed carry license if you're a felon. Violent felons are also prohibited from purchasing body armor or carrying a concealed knife. If a person has been deemed mentally unfit or has previously pleaded not guilty due to insanity, their right to carry firearms and wear body armor is also suspended. Okay? Wisconsin is an open carry state with the right to bear arms, meaning anyone who is not otherwise barred from carrying a legal firearm may do so as long as they are in a public location, a building they own, a private establishment that isn't licensed to sell alcohol, or a public building. So that means the convention center is a public building, which means you can carry in that place. Note that the owner or legal occupant of a private location is free to restrict access to their property, such as a home or an apartment, from anyone carrying a firearm if they so choose. Electrical weapons such as tasers are not authorized for open carry and must be transported in a secure carrying case. So you cannot carry a taser openly. It must be in a secure carrying case. So with the events that took place in Pennsylvania, one would say it's going to definitely be dire because in the state of Wisconsin, you can walk into a building, public or private, open carry. If you have it concealed under your clothing, your shirt, your jacket, or your coat, you have to have a permit, license rather, a concealed carry permit. And that goes for in your car, loaded pistol in a car, as long as it is visible and not covered or concealed in any way, unless you have a concealed carry permit. So that's for the car. You must be a concealed carry licensee or public officer to go inside a public building or place where alcohol is served. So basically, you can carry your damn gun in Wisconsin. So some are probably going to say to themselves, because naturally Trump didn't know he was going to get shot at, grazed or whatever Saturday. So now you get ready to go into a state that's open carry. Some are going to question, why would you want to? Because I just said that earlier during this live stream. You're going to be in a building with a lot of people who are law enforcement. Who's to say that one of them don't decide to get jiggy and pop off? Now you got to factor in, you can have a weapon by state law in Wisconsin. So now that's double jeopardy. That's double jeopardy. Because it's one thing to just have all these people walking around that's law enforcement. You're trusting them to be mentally stable and fit, not to pop off and decide they want to start shooting people in the room or shoot the candidates on the stage. Let's stay woke now. That's why I say nobody really thinks of the bigger picture. Because everybody is, dwelling on what happened Saturday versus who failed, who did what, who didn't do what. But I just said, that was an open arena. Anything could pop off in an open space, just like anything could pop off in a closed space. Now you're having a convention in a carrying state. So what complaint are you all going to have now? Just saying. because this law's been around. And this is where they're having a convention. And this man who wants to once again run for public office is going to be in this city, Milwaukee, in a structure where people can have a damn gun. I don't get it. But as they say, to each his own. Well, they're not brainwashing me into anything. This is why I said nobody's listening. She has nothing to do with what happened Saturday. She just told you. I'm the coordinator for the RNC. What do you want her to do? Show you a piece of paper that she signed a contract? You can't make her say what you want her to say about Saturday. It's still an open investigation. What I don't understand what you I don't understand about that. Nobody is getting ready to talk about Saturday. Not FBI, Secret Service, state police, the sheriff's department, whoever jurisdiction Butler County is in, nobody is getting ready to speak about what took place there. Because they can't. Because nobody's getting ready to speak on somebody else's behavior. Because they're going to say, well, I didn't have control over that, so I can't speak on that. So you want the state police to speak on the Secret Service? Now you want the Secret Service to speak on the state police? We don't even know how many agencies were on the ground. We don't even have a head count. Right now, we don't even have a head count of detailed Secret Service. You need to have something. We don't have anything. We have no head count. And common sense will tell anybody, nobody's getting ready to speak on another agency. Only a fool would do that. Only a fool would sit up here and speak on Secret Service. Secret Service speak on the sheriff's department, the state. See, we don't even know who all was there Saturday. Yeah, it looks like a failure. That would be a person's first notion. Oh, they failed him. They failed the people at the rally. That would be a person's natural notion. Oh, they failed the people. They failed Donald Trump. But as you've heard in the commentary that I've played, feel free to go back and listen to the beginning. His detail is nowhere near the detail of a sitting president. So that could possibly be the problem of what happened Saturday. Because we don't even know how many people were on his detail. All you saw were those few little people who hovered around him and escorted him down the stairs and over to the car. So how many people were on the detail? How many people were on the ground total from other agencies? See, we don't even have a head count. So then you got to ask yourself as well, who's the lead? Who was the lead Saturday for each agency? So that's why I'm saying nobody's getting ready to speak on the behavior of somebody else. Only a fool would do that. There's no way you're going to expect another agency to speak on another agency. They know better than to say anything. They're not even going to speak for themselves. Now, will somebody be held accountable? That is one of the questions I've asked. Feel free to take the poll. Polls on my community page. But until we get a head count, who's the lead? Who was the lead? Were other agencies taking a lead from Secret Service? See, we don't know anything. We don't have any idea. But I feel like that was a bad situation to be out there wide open, because we don't even know if this was on his itinerary, how long it was on his itinerary. Was this just a stopover? Because everybody knows Donald Trump does what he wants to do. And you can tell he's all over the place mentally. He's always been that way since he's been was in office. Running and in office. He's all over the place. So I don't see anybody telling this person, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. We ain't got enough detail. He probably would say, oh, we'll be all right. But you got to think about all that. You are not the president anymore. So what you had in the White House years ago, you don't have right now. That's just common sense. And as this lady was trying to explain 1,000 times, we've planned this event 18 months ago. 18 months. So that's a long time. Not spur of the moment. Hey, let's go over here to Butler, Pennsylvania. So we don't even know how long that was planned by Donald Trump and his team. So let's ask that question. How long was that event on his itinerary? When did they decide to go there? Was everything properly explained of who was the lead and who was supposed to be doing what and following whom's instructions? Because when you start talking about different agencies, you will have a problem. As we have seen, as I just said, the mess that took place in Uvalde a couple of years ago. One group of people were supposed to be going to the scene at the school, and then next thing you know, obviously they didn't have the manpower. I'm just assuming. So then they go call these other people in. And then you get all these other people there, and everybody is just standing around looking crazy. So that's a prime example of dysfunction. Madman running around the school, shooting up the school, and nobody is breaching to go in and take him down. I don't know if it's out of fear. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I do know what I saw, and it didn't look good. Because 300-something people, that makes no sense. And you can bet your bottom dollar, Trump probably didn't even have 200 people on the ground that were in law enforcement Saturday. If so, bring a receipt, because I'd like to know the head count. So you see, if there's no order, there's no guidance, there's nobody following instructions, because let's be truthful, you could get somebody to be the lead on anything. Hey, we're going to do this, 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 and this. That does not mean people will follow protocol. Come on now. You're just assuming, oh, well, the Secret Service, you're supposed to listen. Don't work like that. And I'm telling you, Uvalde proved that. So that's why I say anything can happen. Anything can happen, because anything did. We're not even talking about a hypothetical situation. People were shot. Somebody was killed Saturday. So it's not hypothetical. Something terrible happened. And we don't have all the answers. We don't even know, as they say, who's on first. Because we don't even have a head count. We don't have anything. We'll have to wait to hear what they have to say. Will somebody try to cover their ass? Possibly. Who's going to own to this debacle? Nobody would. It's common sense. Nobody would. But I never thought about that comment until they said it earlier. That guy said it earlier in this commentary I played. Mr. Trump does not have the same amount of people working as if he was a sitting president. So that may be part of the problem of what transpired on Saturday. Because I don't even know how many people are in the detail of a sitting president. Maybe I'll Google it and see. Let me check before I check out of here. Thank you for joining me. Let's see. We'll Google it. So waiting to find out. Just ask the question. So we will check. 1 second, everybody. All right, let's try to get some a number. Can't find anything. It's just talking about who they protect. So it doesn't give a number. Ooh, and it's winded too. They give how many people they have working. 3,200 special agents, but that's not telling me how many work per former presidents. And everything coming up is about what happened Saturday. It's not giving me nothing. Damn. Hello, everybody in the chat. I was trying to get a number. I don't see anything. They tell it. They talking about everything but the number. It's weird. Hey, tacos. Thanks for joining me. Woo, 7 o'clock, almost 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay. But I can't find anything. They don't have any numbers. Let's see what this says here. Okay. They're talking about everything but what I'm asking. Hmm. Everything else. They're talking about the pay after they leave the office. But they don't tell you how many people are on the detail. That's what I'm trying to see. Well, nothing. Well, I'm glad you think he loves the people. Because everybody has a different idea what love is. Obviously. I don't know why they don't have it in here in this article. Everything but it. Children up to the age of 16 covered. I don't know. I don't see anything in here. Because everything coming up is pertaining to Saturday. It's just clogging the Google. You can't even get anything else to come up. All it talks about is who they protect, but it doesn't give a count. How many people on the detail? Well, I guess that probably would be a good idea to tell that anyway. How do you know that he loves you? You speak for yourself who Donald Trump loves. You can't speak for him loving me. You cannot speak for that. You cannot speak for the mind and the heart of somebody else. It makes no sense. What I was looking for, former president, that they're giving all the information they're giving is, how much they pay for office staff, all of that, coverage for children up to the age of 16, but it's not saying how many people are on their detail as a former president. That's what I'm looking for. And then it shows all the other people who entitled to get Secret Service protection. It's not showing anything about the number. They probably don't want to tell that anyway, just for security reasons. Right here it says from the Telegraph, former U.S. presidents are entitled to security for the rest of their lives, meaning staff will have to accompany him if he is jailed. What? I never heard of such. Dear God, please stop. So that's crazy. So that means that the president went to jail, former president, the staff would have to go to him to jail? Never heard of such. That'd be a new one. It says, by law, former U.S. presidents are entitled to round-the-clock security for the rest of their lives, meaning security staff will have to accompany Trump if he's incarcerated. Wow. Never heard that one before. Damn. I'll have to put that as a question on the poll, as a comment. That's because I bet a lot of people didn't know that. Wow, wow, wow. Woo. I ain't never heard that, nothing like that before in my life. Jesus wept. Well, you learn something new every day. Yeah, this was just talking about this criminal stuff. 4 years in prison. Rikers only holds up to, it says, but the notorious prison only accommodates inmates who are sentenced up to 1 year. He could get 4 years for his 34 convictions of falsifying business records. How interesting. I don't see anything in here about the detail. Well, that's what I was looking for, everybody. A detailed count per individual once they have left office. I don't see anything. And naturally, as I said on the other live, Biden has directed a security review of the RNC. So, and also this review of what happened Saturday. So we will see what comes from the review Saturday. Yeah, kind of like how you're lying in here. Well, that's all I got, everybody. So I couldn't find anything about Secret Service count. So we will wait to see what Secret Service FBI has to say pertaining to Saturday's events. Will there be any accountability? Because in the end, what would people be expecting? Somebody to get fired? Just saying. Do you expect somebody to get fired? I just can't even imagine a person going to jail and the Secret Service right there. How's that going to work? They're going to be like, I don't want to sit here in this jail with a former president. Damn, that's crazy. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. As they say, you learn something new. That is definitely new. I've never heard that before in my life. I'm going to go to my community page. I asked you all a few questions yesterday, so I'm going to go over there and just briefly run down those questions I asked you. $200. 200. 200. What you mean on the ground, or 200 in general for a former president? Somebody had asked that in the comment section on one of the videos I was reading yesterday, and Somebody said, maybe you should hire a private company. And then some smart ass said, you going to do it? And I had to reply, well, are you? Hell, everybody's complaining about what happened. The Secret Service failed them. Why not hire a private company? Because what you got to ask yourself is the obvious. Is he pleased with the service he got on Saturday? Possibly not. Is he going to say something about it? Probably. Because Trump cannot be quiet. And I tell you what's that old saying? Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Well, everything's going to be about interpretation. If he's to come out right now and say something derogatory about the Secret Service, how's that going to work? And those are going to be the same people who have to protect you. Even if they take those people out and rotate somebody else in their place, you still have said something negative about them. So that's why I would tell people, nobody ever thinks about anything. Everybody just talk, but they don't think. He ain't even in a position right now to say anything negative about Secret Service. Because I don't think I would trust some random security company to put people at my door, my car, follow me around, have access to my property. Hell no. Hell no. So really, he's in a messed up situation, if you want to be honest. Well, I'm just saying. But I don't know if I'd be trusting private security. Because private security to me still is not the same as national government. It's not the same. It's not the same. So I posted hours ago, how can Trump trust Secret Service to cover him after Saturday's debacle? Okay? Or should he trust them? You're entitled to your opinion. Next question. The question now is, how many persons were assigned from Secret Service to guard Trump? Hey, Smoky Mountain. You heard Candace running her mouth and venting in that commentary I played you earlier, thinking only men should be in Secret Service. So many people say, well, that's bias. You're a woman and you're saying you want all men pilots, all men in Secret Service. So that means the women can't be in FBI either. How's that going to work? That's not going to work. Because if you're going to start with Secret Service, the government, then that means also you're going to say you don't want women in the military. You don't want women working in what? The Pentagon. You don't want women working at the White House. You don't want women, you ain't want women doing anything. Candace, that's the case, Candace. You don't want women being commentators either, sitting at the news desk. How far are you going to take it? They always say she had a big mouth. Stupid people talk. That's when we know, yeah, some people are going to assume, well, as a little lady, she can't guard a big old guy. But somebody put that lady in that position. One of the women that was at this rally Saturday, petite person, somebody hired her. I didn't. It's the way it is. And frankly, you can't judge the women because there were men there who were just as burly as Trump. So that don't really make any sense to say that. That's why I said Candace, she's another idiot. There were men there. You only saw two women. Two women I saw in the video. So who are those other people there guarding Donald Trump? Because it didn't look like Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck. So making that comment about, I only want men only, Secret Service, fly airplane, sounds stupid. Once again, how many persons were assigned from the Secret Service to guard Mr. Trump? Do you feel like there should be only men in the Secret Service? As I said before, if you're going to say Secret Service, you're also going to have to say FBI, just national government in general. No women. Candace Owens ranting about wanting men to do certain tasks, such as Secret Service pilots flying planes. Sky News Australia called out the women fumbling with their weapons, guarding Trump. And this is when they were at the car trying to put Trump in because he wants to, once again, raise his hand up when he should be trying to get in the car so we can get to the hospital. See, all this behavior is bizarre to me. Should it have been men only protecting him? 48% yes, 36% no, 12% not sure, 4% don't care. Does Trump feel Secret Service failed him in attack on his life? 32% yes, 25% no, 19% not sure, 11% don't care, 14% says he should feel like they failed him. Okay, 162 votes. Will there be lawsuits after Trump attack, murder, and injuries at the rally? 61% yes, 21% no, 11% not sure, 8% don't care. After being shot, does Trump feel as if he has a point to prove? Yes, 57%. No, 19%. Not sure, 7%. Don't care, 13%. He shouldn't want to have something to prove, 4%. Should Trump fear for his safety? 81% says yes, 10% no, 2% not sure, 7% don't care. Is he afraid for his safety? 14% yes, 45% no, 10% not sure. He should be, 26%. Don't care, 5%. So I worded those two questions different. Should he fear for his safety? 81% says he should. But then I switched it around and said, is he afraid? And 14% of you said yes. Don't you find that interesting? More of you voted that he should have fear for his safety. 81% out of 135 votes. And then, does he fear for his safety? 14% said yes out of 132 votes. So most of you are saying he should fear for his safety, but most of you voted he don't have any fear. So that's interesting. The two differences in the polls. Why not? Why wouldn't you fear for your safety? You can't think you're invincible. Let's keep it real. Donald Trump is lucky to be alive. He's very lucky to be alive. And there are other people at that arena, they're lucky to be alive as well. Very lucky. Because the damage could have been way worse than what it was. Way worse. Will there be admittal of lax behavior by Secret Service, local police at Trump rally? Yes, 12%. No, 67%. Not sure, 15%. Don't care, 5%. Do you think there'll be another attempt on Trump's life? 40% yes, 15% no, not sure, 24%, most likely 14%, don't care, 8%. So 40% of you believe yes, there will be another attempt, okay? His daughter has said that he has been dehumanized by the public, Ivanka. So I asked, has Trump caused himself to be dehumanized by the public? 35% yes, 52% no, 8% not sure, 6% don't care. And then Ivanka Trump says he's been dehumanized. I had put X because I was thinking about his wife for some reason, his ex-wife who's no longer alive. So I had to put a quotation under that one. So basically I'm talking about the daughter. She says her father has been dehumanized by the public. So basically, do you agree or disagree? 42% says yes, 25% says no, 33% says don't care. With the attack in Butler, Pennsylvania, will more people activate same on politicians. So that means, will somebody do a repeat of what happened to Donald Trump and those people at the rally? 65% yes, 31% no, 5% don't care, 62 votes. Will politics rhetoric tone down? 4% yes, 95% never, don't care, 1%. Does Trump take the attempt on his life serious? 57% yes, 32% no, 6% not sure, 5% don't care. Are you a Trump supporter? 53% yes, 42% no, 5% used to be out of 95 votes. Do you vote? 85% yes, 13% no, 2% don't care. Here is a statement I posted to the community board 12 hours ago. And it is a picture of the shooter. And this is my commentary. I said, since so many people have an opinion about the assassination attempt on Trump, is this you? I asked this question because those who support Trump are eager to support his rhetoric and condone violence as well, such as the Capitol violence and other nonsense at his rallies that have taken place since 2016 and thereafter. I posted that because that's how I feel. That a lot of people are hypocrites who support Mr. Trump. It's easy to throw daggers at what took place on Saturday, but a lot of people who support Trump still support and supported that bullshit that happened at the Capitol. And to me, that behavior was violent. It became violent. And if you were in cahoots with that behavior, then how can you sit in the same breath to talk about God, Christianity, and what was done Saturday as being wrong? Because one thing begets the other. Violence begets violence. You can't say it's okay to go storm the gate at the Capitol, steal things out of a government office that don't belong to you, rally behind Mr. Trump and the people who did that, don't feel like there should be any repercussions or ramifications, but then you judge a 20-year-old for shooting him and shooting other people at a rally. That makes no sense. And a lot of people just, as I keep seeing, comment after comment after comment, where people really don't own their shit and they don't own their ideologies and their mindset. Because I've seen people act out at these rallies. I remember back in 2016, there was a black person in one of the rallies, and this old white man was kicking him. Now, this is before Trump was even voted in. That was probably that August 16. And the first thing I thought is, who's condoning this? And there Trump was yelling, hey, get him out of here. Woo. So it progressed worse since that event. Way worse. And yet all I'm hearing past day, people talking about God and prayer and unification and, he'll be the one to unify us. And what I have to tell myself is, it's hogwash. It's hogwash. Because you have to lead by example. And what I'm seeing is a lot of people's perception of Trump and the nonsense that transpired in the past couple of years as okay behavior, and it's not okay. So you can't unify people when you don't have the mindset for unification. That makes no sense. And the country is divided. And it's divided because people have their own ideologies of what is right and what is wrong, and who is right and who is wrong. So you can never come together. I don't see people coming together. And frankly, everything I've seen recently, it's just an eye-opening of what is here in America. And that's what people need to understand. Whether Trump ever ran for office, ever became president, everything that played out with people who were supporting him, and not all people, but probably a majority, they're just showing you how they think and how they act. Because you just don't wake up at 50-something, 60-something acting this barbaric. You've been acting that way. And that's what a lot of people need to understand. Because I don't think Trump helped the situation. But the point is, whether he ran or not, ever became president or not, this is how people were thinking, and this is how they do think. Because nobody's putting a gun in your head to act out, lunge out, cuss, fuss, throw birds in front of a camera. As I said to somebody on the panel the other day that wants to sit up here and argue with me about a grown-ass person throwing up birds. Somebody died at that fucking rally. 2 people are in the hospital. So that is not appropriate behavior. Throwing fuck you signs up to the news. So who are you mad at? You mad at that 20-year-old? You mad at a 20-year-old white kid that got an AR-15 and climbed on top of a building? Then just say you're mad. But how is throwing up birds in front of a camera? I mean, what is that doing? Nothing. That's the behavior I'm talking about right there. Because that behavior leads to other behavior. And just like the video I made of the lady who was not wishing Donald Trump well, imagine 50, 60 of her standing out there Saturday, counter-protesting. It would have been all-out war. It would have been all out. It would have been horrible if other people had showed up and were protesting, counter-protesting against Donald Trump. She said, well, something happened to where she couldn't show up. But the point I'm making is, just imagine, here's a person lying in wait to unalive this man. And then imagine some other protesters that came to storm the gate. It would have been a hot butter mess. And I bet you nobody's thought about that either. This is why I said nobody's thinking. The situation Saturday could have been way worse than what actually happened. Way worse. And nobody's even thinking about that. It would have been all hell had protesters came and stormed the damn gate like what they did up there at the Capitol. Then everybody would have been losing their mind. Oh, I can't believe they came out here doing this. Why you got a gunman sitting up on top of a metal roof trying to mow everybody damn down? Would have been a hot mess. The point is, you don't know people. You don't know what's on people's minds. You don't know what will set people off. And so far, they're still investigating this attack. So far, nothing has come back negative pertaining to the shooter. As far as, rhetoric, we will see what data will reveal on his phone, if he was in cahoots with anybody else or talked to other people or talked about wanting to hurt the former president. We will see. That's all I got for this morning, everybody. But I thank you for following this network. I will be resuming my conversations pertaining to Taylor Casey. I've got some information planned. We're going to talk about that video that's circulating on YouTube pertaining to her chanting and singing. She acted very peculiar and bizarre during that exchange. And we're going to talk about what was really going on with her and the ashram. Are they responsible for her disappearance? There's also a white man who's been missing for years from the same ashram. And I checked the Facebook page yesterday. There is no new updates to his whereabouts. So did he drown? He allegedly was going snorkeling. He's going to borrow some snorkeling material, snorkeling gear, and it's never been seen again. What's going on this island? I also looked up the database for all the people allegedly missing, and it's a lot of people, old and young. It's not just 40-year-olds, 60, 70-year-olds missing, young girls missing, young men missing, a lot of people missing. Where are those people? Disturbing information. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeganG129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. I will put up more polls as information comes in. And I also will be making a few shorts pertaining to this live stream. So look forward to seeing 15-second shorts in the YouTube queue. Prayers for the victims and their families. Trump and his entourage have set up a GoFundMe page for the victims' families. And they have amassed quite a bit of money raised so far for the victims. Quite a bit of money. I know it's over $1 million or $2 million. You all have a wonderful day. I will put up a movie suggestion for the week. I already have one in mind. Stay out the heat. Stay hydrated. Stay cool. Be mindful of the children. Thank you for your time. You've been listening to the Vault XL.